I just wanted to get a sense from you as to what are the technological trends of 2026 and beyond that SMEs need to prepare for.
If I were to ask like a 10-year view on what are the technologies that are going to be very important 10 years, within the next 10 years, I would say energy, biology, and intelligence.
You've seen a lot of cycles in technology, right? You've seen the .com, you've seen mobile, cloud, now AI. Which cycles do you think we are overhyping and which ones do you think we are underestimating?
So when you are in the cycle, you always overhype it, right? And when you look back, you feel like you underhyped it. So I think that's pretty much how it happens. So right now, all the hype is AI.
Anand, in this segment, I'm going to really deep dive a little more into AI because that's something that everybody is interested in. So I'm not going to get away from it. From your vantage point of view, I just want to understand, how can AI start delivering business value? I know a lot of people think it's this buzzword and, there are all these kind of things which say enterprises have, slowed down on investing in AI. All of that is happening. But where do you see maximum value for business coming with AI?
See, what AI is going to do is improve productivity. It's going to improve productivity for every individual at every level in the company. So that is where the action is going to happen. So how is it going to improve productivity? One is that, so let me sort of share 3 ways of how I see AI starting to be relevant. So one category of AI is the prompt-driven chat GPT type stuff, where you use it for creative work. It is able to give you lots of different broader answers, but it's personal. So in the sense that it's talking to you, you answer questions and get that to happen.
Okay.
And you get creative answers, but you have to decide what to use and not. But that itself is very valuable. And that group of questions is definitely going to happen, and that will improve productivity for individuals. The second group is where is the automation that you can do. So I can take, which is, I call the co-pilot zone. So in that co-pilot zone, what happens is that someone has thought through the process of what is going to happen and has set that up, preset it for you, so that you now are using an automation which has some intelligence built into it, and you're improving the productivity of your factory, your shop floor, of people on call center jobs, or whatever your jobs may be. But there is a job that there's a task, that task is automated and made super efficient.
Okay.
And the third category is these whole agentic AI stuff that we talk about, where AI will go do tasks for you or get tasks done and bring them all together and bring some solutions to happen. And I think that's where you will see exponential productivity that can happen. And some of these agents could become robots, and not necessarily just software agents, but also physically connected agents. And that's where I think you will see even more significant improvement in performance of the factory and all of that. So this is the place where it's going to happen. And I think some of this has already started to happen.
Correct.
I can already see the people I talk to, everyone is using some form of AI to improve productivity, whether it's building transparencies, building slides, writing reports, writing letters. It's starting to happen in a big way already. So individuals are starting to use this any which way. So if you are running a small business, all your employees are anyway using this. So you might as well accept that and allow them clean access to whatever else. So that'll be general stuff. Regarding your data sets, are you able to add automation where you can redefine the path that you take for different kinds of activities and automate that so that you can get them to happen more efficiently? I think that piece is what is getting deployed in small businesses today. In large companies, it is already happening in a much more sophisticated, or it's already happening in a say. But in small businesses, this is the work. I think that will happen in 26. I think agents, while they have a lot of opportunity and are going to be incredible, I'm not so sure that small businesses are quite ready to run an agentic AI architecture, because I think there's going to be some more work that has to be done, both in terms of getting your organization ready and also having the teams that can build these kinds of agents.
And, very often when we speak to SMEs, they ask, where do I even start with AI? I mean, it seems like it's such a big thing and you really don't know. So if you had to give a kind of a rule of thumb to them saying that, That's the first diagnostic to run before you jump into AI. What would that be?
So first, I would say that start using the foundational models that are already available. Then what you'll find is that most of the tools that you're using, they are now AI enabled. So
Correct.
start opening those up, right? So if you're using um, some software for your ERP, that is going to have embedded AI as part of it. You will start to see that presentations, you can now have an embedded AI. Word, Excel, all these are now embedding AI. Start
Correct.
using those as well to see that. And then the third thing I would recommend to people is to look at the processes that you have. Instead of looking at it task at a time, I would say process is a collection of tasks, right? So you look at the collection of tasks and see how many of those can you automate, and can you use AI to help you automate those processes, and then use AI as part of the automation. So both of those things are things that I would think are opportunities for SMEs to also start looking at them.
Are there any technological or business turning points that have really made AI deliver real, measurable outcomes instead of promises? So a lot of people think that it's making promises, but it's not delivering real, measurable outcomes. So is it just that our understanding of it has been so not so deep that we've not been able to get the outcomes that we want? Where does this sit with AI?
I think a lot of this is trying to identify your specific issues where you can deploy AI is the bigger issue. I think AI today already can deliver value at all kinds of places, and putting it all together is a little tricky. So there are so again, so the way I like to look at this is that one, you can use AI, which is the foundational models and everything else, for creative work. So that I think you can do today. And in most cases, AI knows enough about all businesses to the extent that it'll be able to give you very good answers, even if it doesn't touch your data sets.
Correct.
So that's the first part. The second part I think that you can do, which is very interesting, is that your data, trying to feed it to the foundational models is kind of futile. Meaning it's useful, but not particularly valuable. So having some kind of a MCP wrapper where your data is available for AI to look at is kind of useful. And that is the next set of things that I would recommend. The third set of things that you can do is to get AI to ask questions against your data sets. So you don't move your data. You let your data set in whatever systems it's sitting in there, and you say, okay, I'd like to know, what is the best way for me to improve my productivity by 10%, given that I have this kind of data set. So not giving the data, but giving the kind of data. And then this can generate queries and SQL or whatever else that you want, that you run against your data set to get the results. So you use the meta part of it from AI to generate the kinds of results that you would want. But you're using your data to answer that question, but the results are coming from your data set. But the query on what should I ask my data set is coming from AI. So that part of it is very easily doable. And then stringing in processes together to say that, how do I get, so I want to find out what kind of customers should I be selling to. This kind of stuff is very easily doable in AI. So I think people have to think a little bit and sort of break it into manageable tasks and know enough to say what kind of questions can I ask. And then AI is already doing enough at this moment.
So
that will be very useful to you.
There is a lot of work that AI can do, but there's also a lot of things that people talk about that AI has as drawbacks or challenges, hallucinations, for example, things like that. What should SMEs watch out for when they're implementing AI to protect themselves against these?
No, I think hallucination is not really an issue.
Okay.
AI is hallucinate by design.
Okay.
And the reason you want them to hallucinate is at that point they are being creative, they are coming up with new ideas, and they are meant to be hallucinating. If you want a problem or a situation where you do not want to have any hallucination at all, then you don't ask those kinds of questions to AI. You ask AI to say, give me the program that will address that particular thing, rather than saying, give me an answer to something.
Correct.
Right? So if I have to find out, let's say, take an example. I'm just making it very dumb in some sense, but let's say you have a list of all your products. Say which one is the most selling product. So you can ask that question and you will get an answer.
Correct.
May not be the right answer.
Hmm.
But if I said, okay, give me the program that will help me compute the most selling product in my data set, and if you give it some metadata, then you'll get a Python or an SQL code that you run against your data set. That will not hallucinate because now you are asking
Using
a
a
very
program.
precise question against your
Right.
data set. So there are definite ways of how you can avoid hallucinations or getting these kinds of errors if you know what you are trying to do.
Hmm. And are there specific areas in the business where you think AI will do better than others? So is it for an SME, where should they deploy AI first? So is it like marketing is easy, deploy AI in
Marketing and
marketing or
research
deploy?
has become already very easy to do, and there are tools that are available for that. People who are doing advertisements, generating, social media posts and all of those things, those are all now very easily doable through AI. So the outbound things are starting to happen. In the software industry, coding is now pretty much AI can do pretty good work at coding. So some of those are also starting to happen. Again, it depends on the industry and the sophistication of the industry. But there is enough that AI can start to contribute in the SME um, job space in some sense or the other.
So moving from AI, moving from whatever, what are those risks that SMEs will have if they don't start the adoption of tech very quickly and don't get onto that journey very quickly? So in 2026, what will happen if SMEs decide to not adopt technology as quickly as?
Yeah. So I see SME is improving AI is improving productivity in very large numbers. So it's just a question of saying that, if I'm running an SME and my productivity, and that can be in terms of people, it can be in terms of assets, it can be in terms of whatever you might want to call it. Those who are going to use AI are going to be productive by, 5x, 10x, not just percent, but times,
Multiples.
right? So if you're competing with someone who is super efficient because they have figured out how to be efficient, then that's a very tough job for an SME, right? So uh, it's a relative thing, right? Meaning you will be able to charge premium as long as you are better than your peers. And if everyone starts using it and you don't, then you are going to have a difficult time. So I think it's not as intimidating as people think it is. I think I would encourage everyone to sort of try things out first, get comfortable with what it can do and how it does things, and then maybe run small groups, have peer groups or whatever, and try something out, share it with other people, let other people comment on what they are doing. And if SMEs have their own groups of people that they interact with and all that, then having hey, I tried this, what did it do for you? Those kinds of focus groups would be very helpful for people. And a lot of this stuff today is available at relatively low cost, meaning I would there's a huge jump between free versions and paid versions, but
Correct.
the low end paid versions are not that expensive.
In our last segment, what I really want to understand and tap into is a growth mindset. Um, the world is becoming chaotic. There is change coming in at a pace we can't keep track. How and what is your growth mindset mantra, if I may ask that? So, how can SMEs look at, and like you told me, not a 2x, 3x growth, a 10x growth?
Yes.
How can SMEs build a mindset for a 10x growth in 2026 and beyond?
So I believe that businesses have a certain stage at which they are, and depending on where they are in their growth journey, how they should approach this can be different. So typically, what I believe is business growth is a sequence of S curves. You do some things, you see growth for a period of time, and you flatten out. And you have to reinvent yourselves to find the next orbit and the next orbit. Technology shifts, challenges in the market, the fact that markets disappear, new kinds of techniques come into beaten are the ones that cause these disruptions.
Correct.
So this uncertainty that you have, what you have done forever will continue to work on, doesn't happen because the assumptions and the frame in which you are operating is going to change completely. That said, I think how do you go about making these changes? I think very important. So I believe that, it's the team that matters. So you need to have the right people who are working with you, who are going to help you grow the business. Because at the end of it, there are many things that can be done, but who's going to do it becomes the key item on it. So how do I build a culture within the business that allows us together to learn together and implement these programs so that we can scale is kind of the critical aspect of what I would say is the first and most important thing.
Okay.
And this requires the team to be us rather than me and my team. So, as a founder in a small business, typically the founder has this attitude that I'm the founder, I'm the boss, everyone works for me. And with the changes that are happening at the pace at which they are happening, you can't know everything forever. So, you need to build that team that brings things together. So, that's one important thing. The second thing is that I really believe that in any company, even small businesses, you need to be a leader in something for the market to come to you. Otherwise, you have to chase the market. And for small businesses, if you're chasing markets, it's very hard to make money. You make a lot better money when people come to you rather than you going after them. And that requires you to understand what is your product, where are you selling, and how do you position yourself so that you can claim leadership in that market. And I believe that in small businesses also, segmenting the market in the right way, whether it is by size, by customer, whatever else, thinking from the customer's point of view is kind of very important to get that scale to happen. And the last thing I would say is that, we are in a connected world. So being part of a network where you have boards, governance, and all these other things are very critical in this world because, you can go crazy in this sort of fast moving world. Everyone, all founders, and I've been a founder for 35 years, we all think that we know everything, but reality is that it is with all these landmines that you talked about, having friends and having people you can talk to and having a network of people who putting the right governance and systems are very critical for success of business. So the growth mindset is, see, a lot of people want to grow, but they hesitate to grow because they think that it is too tough, it will change the business, it will make my life complicated and all that. But if you sort of plan the growth effectively, then good growth at the right levels of excitement and energy and all that's very possible. But that requires, as I said, 3 points that I mentioned. One is the team. The second is that having the right kind of product so that people are flocking to your product rather than, you chasing them. And finally, having the systems and governance to make sure that you do this effectively and it's a sustainable long-term business.
And my last question on this podcast to you is, what is your do big mantra for SMEs? One message on how they can leverage technology to unlock growth in 2026 and beyond.
No, I think the only thing I would say is first is to just do it, because a lot of us in business start to ask too many questions about why it could fail and all of those. Unless you try, you wouldn't know what is going to happen. So trying is very important, and that's something I would encourage people to do. And I think having friends and trying things out and exchanging ideas is, I think, the way to do it. So I highly encourage companies to go big right now, because I think this kind of a discontinuity creates a lot of opportunities. And at this point, large companies are not sure. They are also hesitating. So this is the best opportunity for SMEs to go disrupt them. And as Clayton Christensen has written in his book about the innovator's dilemma and everyone else. So when you have these kinds of disruptions and discontinuities, it's the greatest opportunity for small businesses. So all I would say is that don't overanalyze, just do it, go at it, try some experiments and find your way in. The speed at which you operate is your biggest strength. So just take advantage of it and then just do it, I guess.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being on this podcast. It was wonderful having you here.
Thank you.
I had a great conversation with you. Thank you so much.
I enjoyed it too.
Thank you.